Welcome to Estadio Olímpico Universitario. It is an all-Mexican semifinal to kick us off in the Final Four of the 2022 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Pumas and Cruz Azul leg number one for a spot in the 2022 SCCL Final. Tyler Terrence on hand. Thank you so much for tuning in for what should be a fantastic Clásico Metropolitano. We are so excited for this matchup. We have all Mexico sides on one side of the bracket, all MLS on the other. We're going to look at the bracket in just a second, but beforehand, we'll take a look at the pitch conditions for tonight. An absolutely picture-perfect evening for football as Andres Lilini, the Argentine manager, leads his staff out of the locker room and looking to get a big result in front of the home crowd. Here's a look at the bracket proper. As you can see, Seattle Sounders and NYCFC have both punched their ticket into the semifinal. They will play tomorrow night to kick off leg number one of that semifinal, but the business at hand is Pumas and Cruz Azul, and we'll give you an idea of how these two teams got here. And we'll start with Cruz Azul and their leg number two against the Club de Foot Montreal. The game was played north of the United States border in Canada at the Olympic Stadium, and Cruz Azul, who of course are big spenders as far as Liga MX are concerned, and Mexican teams have of course dominated this tournament in the modern era. It has been quite some time since we've seen a Major League Soccer winner, and here was one of the big goals for Cruz Azul in their tournament. Uriel Antuna, who of course started in the most recent World Cup qualifier for Mexico and for Tata Martino, and before heading to camp decided to leave Cruz Azul with a little bit of a parting gift and leave Club de Foot Montreal with a very steep mountain to climb, although Montreal would certainly have their say in it, as they were able to pull one back. But for the Canadian side, always sort of seem undermanned and outmatched throughout this competition, barely squeaking by on a number of occasions. They have plenty of talent, but when they run into a team like Cruz Azul, you just sort of got the feeling that perhaps the road would end, and indeed it did, but not without Montreal giving Cruz Azul a little bit of a scare, and that would be enough for Juan Reynoso's side as they were able to advance into the semifinal against their crosstown rivals in Pumas, who had a little bit of a different road to get to this semifinal leg number one, as they were able to dispatch Bruce Arena's side, but it wasn't without a tremendous scare. After going down 3-0 in the first leg in the United States, they came all the way back. They equalized and made it 3-3 and would eventually win on penalties. Here was things that got it started. And for Pumas, it's been the likes of Rogerio, Washington Corozo, and Juan Ignacio Dineno who have been the catalyst for this Pumas group and for Andres Lilini. And Pumas, who on a number of occasions in their illustrious history have fought their way back from really what seemed to be insurmountable deficits. And you could just see the passion, you could see what it means to Andres Lilini in this Pumas group after going down 3-0 against New England in Foxborough. Slowly but surely found their way back into the tie. And despite some nervy moments in the penalty shootout, Sebastian Lletget providing life for Pumas, and then eventually the comeback was complete, and Pumas yet again, for the second time in about a decade or so, came back from a 3-0 deficit in a two-legged format. Of course, did it against Cruz Azul, and all of the jokes about Cruz Azul Leada can be made at this time, but Cruz Azul are looking to rewrite history and going up against the Pumas side, who they faced no more than a month ago. Cruz Azul came out on the better end of it by a score of 2-1 back on March 12th. And the two teams, of course, all too familiar with each other in Liga MX play. And we'll step aside for the moment. When we come back, Pumas and Cruz Azul in leg number one of the 2022 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League semifinal.
partido de esta noche de la Liga de Campeones Concacaf Scotiabank.
Just about ready to go for Pumas and Cruz Azul in the first leg of this All-Mexico semifinal. We'll take a look at the starting 11 for Andres Lilini, the Argentine manager, and the home side of Pumas. Of course, this is a derby match, the Clásico Metropolitano. For Pumas, just two changes from that second leg in which they were able to equalize a 3-0 deficit against Bruce Arena's New England Revolution. As it is going to be Rogerio, Washington, Corozo, and Juan Ignacio Dineno up top. Fabio Alvarez will be pulling the strings in the number 10 position. And the two center backs, Nicolas Freire and Arturo Ortiz, will be holding it down in front of 39-year-old keeper Alfredo Talavera. And this Pumas group is no stranger to massive upsets and massive comebacks in their history. And of course, most recently against Cruz Azul in 2020 with a 4-0 win in the semifinals of Liga MX. A look at our referee crew for tonight. Armando Villarreal of the United States is our head referee. Frank Anderson and Catherine Nesbitt are his two assistant referees. And of course, joined by our fourth official as Talavera and Sebastian Dorado, the 24-year-old keeper from Veracruz. The two goalkeepers on the night. Aguilar is your captain on the Cruz Azul side. And a look at our VAR crew. Tim Ford is in charge of it. Alan Chapman joins him as well. All United States officiating crew for this all-Mexican semi-final before we head to the second leg at the Azteca. And we'll take a look now at the starting 11 for Juan Reynoso's Cruz Azul. A couple of changes as well from their 1-1 draw against Montreal that saw them through into the first leg of the semi-final. Aguilar is your captain. Rafael Baco will be pulling the strings along with Carlos Rodriguez in the middle of the park. Uriel Antuna coming off of a start for the Mexican national team out of the wing for Tata Martino. That saw him qualify for the World Cup. Definitely some nervy moments for the Mexican national team and for Tata, but eventually getting over the line along with the United States and Canada. Might be joined in Qatar in November with Costa Rica, but we'll have to wait and see how they fare in the Intercontinental Playoff. As you get a look at the Cruz Azul bench, didn't have to travel very far for this one. Certainly not the couple thousand miles that they had to travel to get up to Montreal and north of the United States and Mexico border and north of the United States and Canada border, as Armando Villarreal gets us underway from Estadio Olímpico Universitario. Tyler Terrence on hand. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leg number 1 of this All-Mexico semifinal is officially underway. Two sides obviously very different as far as their history and as far as their spending patterns. When it comes to forming their rosters, Cruz Azul has been known to spend a lot more but fall short on a number of occasions. Meanwhile, Pumas don't necessarily have the pockets, but for whatever reason have seemingly had the magic over a number of years and qualified for Champions League by being runners-up in 2020 with the Guardianes. Pumas in their all white kits, Cruz Azul in their blues. And obviously balancing international competition along with league play is always tricky for these managers, and Andres Lelini and Juan Reynoso respectively of Pumas and Cruz Azul, and they've effectively been going with sort of two different starting 11s for both league play and this continental competition. And Sebastian Jurado starting to build up for Cruz Azul. Pumas have been struggling mightily up until their most recent two Liga MX games in league play. Before their win against Juarez, they actually had gone without a win since CONCACAF Champions League had started, and the narrative has always been how Major League Soccer teams will struggle to balance both Champions League as well as the start of Major League Soccer play, but Pumas can fall into that category as well, as they had started to slip in the standings a little bit once the competition had started, but seemingly getting the train back on the tracks. First signs of light here from Andres Lelini's side. It's an encouraging cross, but no numbers in Puma's side of things to try to latch on to the end of it. And a good challenge at the back from Arturo Ortiz, the 29-year-old from Monterrey. Came up through the Rayados Academy. And quality build-up here from Pumas as they're able to find Alan Mozo, the 24-year-old from Mexico City and local boy. Obviously, these two teams know each other so well from over the years, and having played each other just about 3.5 weeks ago. Cruz Azul coming off of a 1-0 win over Atlas at the weekend. Santiago Jimenez with the game winner in the 37th minute. Another big win for La Maquina. And here comes Cruz Azul looking dangerous for the first time tonight. A good entry ball in, and again it's Ortiz who's able to make the play. Just had to be sharp in the early going as Pumas are committing numbers forward, and as a result leaving themselves exposed on the other end. Quality challenge in the middle of the park, and Armando Villarreal, the American referee, says play on. It's industrious play, to say the least, from the visitors on the night. And making that darting run at the near post was the goal scorer from this weekend, 20-year-old Santiago Jimenez from Buenos Aires. A couple of El Tri appearances to his name, of course, had the option to play for Argentina, but said that he felt more Mexican than Argentinian. His father, Christian, also played for Cruz Azul. Scored in a friendly for Mexico against Chile at the end of 2021 at Q2 Stadium, the new soccer-specific home for Austin FC of Major League Soccer. He was a 2021 Liga MX All-Star. Seemingly one of the bright young strikers in Mexico over the past year and a half or so. Good work from Carlos Rodriguez and company. Efrain Velarde, 1v1 here. Dizzying amount of step overs towards the byline, sends it across, and it actually got underneath the arm of Jurado. Pardon me, that was Corozo. This front three of Pumas just so incredibly dynamic between Rogerio, Corozo, and Dineno, the latter of which is leading the Golden Boot race in this competition. 5 goals to his name. Leads NYCFC's Tati Castellanos by just 1 tally. This falls for Mosso. Encouraging touch forward. Keeps it low, asking questions of the Cruz Azul defense, and we'll have our first corner of the evening. And already you can sense a frantic yet quality start to this one. You'd expect nothing less from these two teams. Have to love the skill from the Ecuadorian Corozo. On loan from Cristal in Ecuador. His Copa Libertadores experience. Corner clipped in at the near post. Harada will stay home. Corozo was looking for the spectacular, but decided to pull out just at the last moment. And it will be a goal kick in the end, as Corozo, alone for Peruvian side Cristal, will have to retreat. But already looking to put his Ecuadorian stamp on this one. Like Rivera would actually kept that in play. Here come Pumas again, and it was an awkward challenge in the end, coming in from Luis Abram, 26-year-old from Lima, Peru. Abram, despite perhaps giving Cruz Azul fans some heart palpitations, was able to clear the danger, at least the initial danger, and now a corner on the other end for Pumas. Leonel Lopez on top of it, 27-year-old from Jalisco. In-swinger, another decent-looking ball, and Corozo just a little overzealous in trying to win it, and it'll come out the other way, says Armando Villarreal. Be a matchup to keep an eye on between Nicolas Freire and Santiago Jimenez. And the wily veteran, 39-year-old Alfredo Talavera, will come off of his line. First traded for Alfredo Saldivar, straight up. And over 360 appearances with Toluca. Here's Corozo again. Escobar called for the foul. 26-year-old from Luque, Paraguay. Certainly a late challenge with both legs from behind. A bit tardy as well. This is from a long way out, but I have to think perhaps Pumas are fancying their chances. Not exactly a angle that's lending towards delivery. It will be delivery, but never troubling Cruz Azul. And they want to try to go on the counter. And they might just have the numbers to do so. Pumas desperately trying to get some numbers back behind the ball. This one clipped in, it's a decent header, and then eventually coming away with it. Lopez and company. Corozo. Same spot, 1v1 again. This time decides to cut in and try to go for the curler. Aguilar with the header and eventually cleared away by Eric Lira. young 21-year-old from Mexico City. Aldrete. Aldrete steps in. Felt like he was fouled. Armando Villarreal had a front row seat, and he's not buying any of what Rivera was selling. I have to say it was good skill from Rivero, and credit to the referee, because there was really nothing in that, and potentially could have even been given a yellow card for simulation if we were to go that far. Had it been called a foul, certainly would have been hard done for this Pumas group. Here's Mozo. And easy enough for Jurado. Earned himself a bronze medal at the Tokyo Games with Mexico. He's Rookie of the Year in Liga MX with Veracruz in the 2018-19 season. Let's another look at that counterattack that ended up being snuffed out in the end. Given the history between these two sides, and of course what happened in 2020 and the 4-0 win for Pumas, this is sort of the entree, or the appetizer rather, to the entree in what will be the second leg, and we'll just have to see what the first act of this play has in store for what will set up surely a dramatic and sort of PTSD-like experience for Cruz Azul fans if they are to gain some sort of advantage in this first leg, and hoping and praying that Cruz Azul Leada doesn't come to fruition once more. It's pretty interesting to see that the powers that be in the language folks in Mexico are starting to recognize Cruz Azul Leada as a proper word that, of course, was invented by football fans here in Mexico City and throughout Mexico as a way to sort of describe somebody bungling something they should have had buttoned up, as Corozo sends this in, but nodded away by Pablo Aguilar. And the offside flag is going to go up. Catherine Nesbitt not going to wait for the delayed flag. Pretty obvious between Uriel Antuna as well as Santiago Jimenez. No need for the delayed flag there. If it's obvious, put your flag up. That's certainly what all of the pundits, commentators, and players and coaches have been saying as of late with regard to that rule, and sort of playing into the VAR aspect of things of now, which of course is part of Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. And 15 minutes gone by, still no score between Pumas and Cruz Azul in this first leg of the first semifinal. Seattle and NYCFC to kick things off tomorrow. And on the other side of the bracket, it will be a MLS Mexico final. That much is clear. Meritao gave it away. And can Cruz Azul break on the other end when Pumas had numbers committed forward? Kept in play, but a good sliding challenge from Alan Mozo. He's been with the club for 11 years, including his time with the academy. There's a couple of L3 caps, but hasn't been called up by Tata Martino since 2019. With the best 11 in Clausura 2018. This one will go all the way back for Talavera. Cruz Azul right now sitting in 4th place in the Liga MX table after their 1-0 win against Atlas. They were able to jump in the standings and move from 5th to 4th. Pumas, meanwhile, sitting in 9th right now on 15 points. We mentioned before, getting their first win in quite some time. Corozo gets it back after a heavy first touch. And that's bullish work from Rivero. And the Ecuadorian stays down after the fact, and Rivero felt like there should perhaps be some disciplinary action as well. Just a little bit late from Rogerio. 31-year-old from Brazil is on loan from Bahia. He's played for some of the biggest clubs in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Bahia, as well as Botafogo. He's already got 20 appearances and 5 goals in Liga MX play. As Mozo goes to ground, wins the challenge, and then kicks away the ball that Cruz Azul were going to try to play with. And we're going to see if Armando Villarreal is going to lay down the law as far as delaying restarts are concerned. And it looks like he's just going to get off with a warning, Mozo. Just a little bit of the dark arts. Of course, there have been some rumors swirling around that perhaps Juan Reynoso might be the man to lead the Peru national team. Forward a couple of tabloids reporting that as of late, but can't believe everything that you read nowadays is Pumas will regain possession but give it right back as they try to go a bit more direct for Corozo. Seems to be the intended target. They feel like they can get some good production out of the Ecuadorian down the right-hand side of the Cruz Azul defense. Turnover in the middle of the park. Meritao with a crunching challenge, but Pumas give it right back, and that seems to be the theme over the past 60 seconds or so. Rivero had a great run being made over on the far side by Juan Escobar. Antuna. Cheeky little ball. Rivero back for Antuna! We'll see if it stands. Well, it won't. No need to see. Catherine Nesbitt has already put up her flag. Boy, that was really clever, intuitive play from Rivero and Antuna. And he's well offside, Antuna. It is the right call from the American assistant referee, Catherine Nesbitt. Well, this has certainly been fun through the first 20 minutes or so. You'd have no idea this is the first leg, and typically in these types of situations, we'll see teams really sort of sit back and maybe figure out what the other team is holding in their deck and feel the game out, if you will, and then maybe make a move in the second leg and just see how it plays out. But it's been nothing of the sort here between these two old rivals. Won by Cruz Azul. Pumas need to be careful here. The last couple of times that they've won the ball back, they've given it right back to Cruz Azul, who still had numbers forward. Clean challenge, says Armando Villarreal. Rogerio will stay down. And it's just out of the reach of Antuna. Excellent pace to this one in the opening 21 minutes. Again, Pumas turn it over in the middle of the field. And Eric Lira taken down from behind, and now a prime real estate sort of set piece here for Cruz Azul. Andres Lelini, not a happy man with the ball retention from his group over the past 5 minutes or so. It's becoming a recurring theme that they'll certainly want to put an end to. And to boot, they commit a foul in a dangerous spot. Still about 26, 27 yards away from frame. It looks like Rivero's going to be the one to strike it, as he's the one placing the ball just so. Not a terrible effort. Did take a deflection. Bit of a decoy having Rivero be the one to set the ball up, and then it ends up being the left-footed Lira who ended up taking. Sent in, and easy enough for Talavera. Big switch, not exactly sure who was intended for, but nevertheless, Pumas give the ball away again, but one back by Meritao. Corozo. Good ball in. And Fabio Alvarez, the 29-year-old from Argentina, could never really generate enough power on that header, as it had snow coming down on it. Sent a mile up into the air. Momentum shifting towards the visitors in Cruz Azul. Velarde. Needs to be careful here. Rivero, dazzling skill. And Talavera able to hang on to it and wants to start the counterattack the other way, encouraging Mozo forward. Teasing ball in. A difficult header in the end, but well played by Pablo Aguilar, the 34-year-old Paraguayan, with a cool head, pun very much intended. And the offside flag is up on Jimenez. Lila. Uriel Antuna. Dizzying skill from Antuna. Run away by Ortiz. And Cruz Azul had a plethora of numbers forward, but Alvarez had it poked away just at the last moment before the counterattack was truly on for Pumas. Second leg of this two-legged affair will take place this time next week, 10 o'clock Eastern time at the Azteca. As Andres Lelini's side will flip-flop roles and be the visitors against their crosstown rivals in this Clásico Metropolitano. Pumas, of course, 7-time Liga MX champions. Last trophy that they lifted, though, was that Clausura of 2011. 3-time Champions League winners as well, but nothing in the modern era. Last trophy in that department was 1989, as the offside flag goes up here on Pumas. In the last final that they reached in this competition, 2005 against Saprissa, which was actually won by the Costa Rican outfit by a score of 3-2, and that is the last time that we've had a non-Mexican team win CONCACAF Champions League. Of course, you'd have to go back to LA Galaxy a few years before that, before we've had a American or even a Major League Soccer team win this competition. And those hopes lie on the shoulders of the reigning MLS Cup champions NYCFC, and one of the most dominant forces in Major League Soccer, one of the most consistent teams in Brian Schmetzer's Seattle Sounders. And of course, we'll be from Lumen Field tomorrow night, again 10 o'clock Eastern time, before the reverse roles and head to Harrison, New Jersey. And for those of you who are wondering why NYCFC, New York City FC, would be playing in Harrison, New Jersey, well, that sometimes is their home as well, Red Bull Arena. Skips all the way through. Chance here for Pumas, and a really important header there from the captain, Aguilar. A swing and a miss on the punch. Sent back across. Caroso was there. Going to be stabbed home. What an incredible save off the line. One of the best defensive plays you will see throughout the entirety of this competition. Harada was scrambling off of his line, and he seems to be injured as well, but my goodness. That had goal written all over it. Still trying to decipher exactly who cleared it off the line. It might have been Luis Abram. And indeed it was. Check this out for reaction play. had minimal time to react, and Abram just sticks out a foot, hopes and prays, and his prayers are answered and then some. The only way to describe this is divine intervention, but if you're on the Pumas side of things, you're thinking, why on earth are you hitting it that close to Abram? As Fabio Alvarez will be having nightmares about this one. If that boot is half a size smaller, it's in the back of the net. Andres Lelini is every Pumas fan right now, thinking, how on earth did that not go in? Wow. Biggest chance of the game thus far. Came right around the half-hour mark, and Luis Abram, the 26-year-old from Peru, is what I have to imagine is one of the defensive plays of his life. Well, this was the initial mistake from Jurado, and getting in the way of it was actually some defender in Aguilar. Or pardon me, that was Juan Escobar. And Jurado a little bit more sure-handed this time after the ensuing corner, as Eric Tao generated a decent amount of power. Lopez. Beautiful football from Pumas. Oh, that strike not too far off. Moso wanted the ball. Played in between the center backs, but having inherently different thoughts. Juan Ignacio Dineno, the leading goal scorer in this competition, with just a little bit too much breathing room. And it looks like we are going to have an early substitution. Juan Escobar, who is a player who was injured on that most recent fiasco that ended with the Luis Abram heroics. And it will be Julio Dominguez who's going to replace Escobar. And Escobar's night will come to an end in the 36th minute. Thankfully for him, he won't have to walk off the field with his team down 1-0. He has Luis Abram to thank for that, and the 34-year-old, from Arriaga, Mexico, in his 17th season with Cruz Azul, with over 500 appearances for the club, will come onto the scene in a substitute capacity. And of course, the balance between league and continental competition is always a tricky one, and having to trot out your 34-year-old to maybe get 65 minutes that he didn't expect to get is not what you had in mind if you're Juan Reynoso, but that's life and that's football sometimes. You plan and the footballing gods will simply laugh. Corozo, great ball squared across. Was it cleared off the line again? No, this time it's over the line. And claiming it is none other than that man, Juan Ignacio Dineno. He has been the man, and Pumas take a 1-0 lead. The Argentine has been nothing short of spectacular this competition. Challenging the initial header, getting involved. The initial challenge from Aguilar looked to be enough. It might even trickled over the line and could potentially count as an own goal, but make no mistake that Dineno was trying to will that ball over the line. He even tried to throw his head at it into a number of flying boots. Check this out as he literally tries to will the ball across the line. And Abram could not clear it a second time. And the Pumas technical staff, led by Andres Lalini, rejoices. And we're hearing that they might be checking for a handball. The goal has been confirmed. Juan Dineno with a tournament-leading 6th goal, half a dozen. And it's just the first leg of the semifinal. Talk about bringing your shooting boots to a competition. And the Argentine gives his side a 1-0 lead. Well, you have to say that they're worth the goal and then some, Pumas, especially after being denied just a few minutes ago by Luis Abram off the line. Juan Escobar can only watch on now as his team trails 1-0 on the road. Can Cruz Azul respond? It took a deflection, and Antuna sends it over the bar. That was a real opportunity. Well, the ball popped up on the Mexican international just at the last moment. Challenge from Ortiz. Sebastian Jimenez stays down. And things start to get a little bit chippy. It was only a matter of time. These two crosstown rivals started to open things up a bit on the physical side of things. That's a nasty challenge from Rafael Baca, the 32-year-old. Former San Jose Earthquake. Actually played college soccer in the United States at Loyola Marymount. His 9th season with La Máquina. Corozo was a little bit too much on it. Antuna utilizing that pace once again. Just putting it into a dangerous area. Baca will go to ground. Wins the challenge, but concedes a goal kick. Another look at the goal here. Dineno did just enough to bother Aguilar. It'll be interesting to see who they credit this to, because it looks like the initial ball that came off the challenge from Aguilar actually went over the line. And then that clearance from Abram hit off the back foot of Dineno. Just a bizarre sequence. Just a few minutes until halftime. I'm sure we'll have at least 2 or 3 minutes of stoppage time after the Juan Escobar injury. What otherwise has been a really clean and fun first half of football in this first leg of the semifinal. Pops out to Alvarez and just takes a swipe at it, hopeful, to say the least. Dineno, the lone goal scorer in this one so far in the Champions League edition of Clásico Metropolitano. Antuna will keep it in play, stands one up, Talavera off of his line, and displaying his aerial superiority. That touch from Dineno needed to be a little bit better, and Corozo would have been on his way. Yeah, Luna claiming he didn't touch Mozo. Certainly has a case. And we're hearing 4 minutes of stoppage time at the moment. Can Cruz Azul perhaps find the equalizer before the half? Rivero, numbers arriving. Target was Antuna. And again, it's Ortiz who breaks things up. He's been playing that role all night. And Lira's offside. Mosso. Early delivery, a slip, Dineno! It's 2! He just can't help himself. Pumas can't help themselves. And they've got a 2-0 lead over one of their biggest rivals in the first leg of Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. They double their lead right before the halftime break. Well, it's a slip of disastrous proportions if you're the skipper, Pablo Aguilar, as the Paraguayan, once he fell, could only watch. And what he ends up watching is a piece of aerial beauty. Juan Dineno, clean as you'd like, and he's been in that kind of form. He has been a revelation since coming Andres Lillini's side. Someone stop that man, and he's looking for a third in a matter of seconds and just a few whiskers away from doing so. And Sebastian Jurado is asking the same question that all Cruz Azul fans are asking. What on earth is going on? Pumas are looking to perhaps put this to bed before we even headed to the Azteca next week. And boy, did he hit that cleanly. Just flashes wide. Well, to be completely fair to Juan Reynoso and his side, they really have not played poorly by any stretch of the imagination. It hasn't been as technical or clean as we typically expect from this Cruz Azul side in the attacking third, but they've really been in this game and are actually wrestling the momentum in favor of themselves around the 25th minute mark. And then there was that chance cleared off the line by Abram, and since then it has been all Pumas, but this has not been a half that's been dominated by Pumas. And that's going to do it for the first 45 minutes. Andres Lillini and his technical staff all smiles at the moment. And the man with the biggest smile in all of CONCACAF right now at the club level is Juan Ignacio Dineno. The Argentine registering his 6th and 7th goals of the tournament. Now leads the Golden Boot race in that department by 3 goals over NYCFC's Tati Castellanos. And you can see the sentiment now from the Pumas group. Keep the focus, keep the energy. The goal remains the same. Pump in as many possible before you have to go to the Azteca, because I'm sure that Cruz Azul will be looking for blood when they return to their own patch. But right now, Juan Dineno has been sensational. He's got to brace Pumas with a 2-0 lead as we head to halftime.
Qatar Airways, la aerolínea oficial de la Liga de Campeones Concacaf Scotiabank, garantiza tu puesto para la Copa Mundial en Qatar con nuestros increíbles paquetes de viajes. Cómpralos ahora en qatarairways.com/FIFA 2022. Para las últimas noticias, estadísticas y lo más destacado del partido, visita la página oficial concacafchampionsleague.com. Sigue toda la acción del torneo en las redes sociales oficiales de CONCACAF, en Twitter,
Welcome back in, and we'll take a look at the highlights from the first half between Cruz Azul and Pumas. And as we discussed earlier in the match, we talked about how sometimes in these first legs, particularly against teams that see each other so often, it can be a bit dull, a bit drag, but there was nothing dull about this first half. And it started immediately with Washington Corozo, the Ecuadorian, who really found himself on the end of a lot of different Pumas moves, who felt like they could really try to expose right back Juan Escobar early on. He would end up being subbed off for Julio Dominguez, and then slowly but surely Cruz Azul would start to get a footing in this game. And this was the stretch where you really started to feel like they were wrestling back a lot of the momentum and perhaps would crack on and score a goal, but simply was not the case, despite Pumas giving them a number of opportunities and really just giving the ball away in silly areas, particularly in the middle of the field. This free kick from Lira ended up going high after a deflection, and then a bit of direct play from Cruz Azul despite a high line from Pumas and having to deal with some offside calls. But then Pumas regained their footing, asking all sorts of questions, and this was the play that really got things going. Jurado misjudges it, and then Alvarez thought he had it, what was just goal written all the way, and Luis Abram with a tremendous clearance off the line. Escobar would be unable to continue after the injury, in which he actually caught a knock on the backside from his own keeper, and then Juan Dineno started to announce himself in this affair. And when he starts to get going, look out. Here's the first goal. Just trickles over the line. Luis Abram desperately tried to keep it out for a second time, but Dineno was hell-bent on scoring his 6th goal of the tournament. And he did just that. It was officially given to the Argentine. And Cruz Azul looked like they might get the equalizer here after the deflection and Tuna onside, and ends up skying it. And then the chippiness would start to come into play. And you always expect this between two rivals, and then the slip from Aguilar, and Dineno makes the most of it, giving a striker of that quality and in this type of form, that type of space, there's only one end result. And Juan Dineno flexing his attacking and goal-scoring superiority, and then just a few seconds later almost made it the third. It looked like Jurado actually had it covered in the end, but that's how the first half would come to a close. 2-0 lead for Pumas, who fell to this Cruz Azul side by a score of 2-1 back on March 12th, but right now with all the momentum and a 2-goal lead on their own patch at Estadio Olímpico Universitario. As we'll take a look at the numbers from the first half, and as you can see, no shortage of opportunities. 15 shots total, 8 on goal between the two sides, and the physicality starting to be displayed as well. As we'll step aside when we come back. Second half kickoff between Pumas and Cruz Azul in this semifinal.
Visit the completely revamped CONCACAF website. All information in one place with exclusive content. Connect to our Match Center. Access all the statistics in detail, polls, quizzes, and live information of all our tournaments. Create your own CONCACAF passport with custom preferences and share region rankings, player rosters, and lots more on social media. CONCACAF offers you the best experience to enjoy soccer in the region with official and first-hand information to follow the action of your favorite team, country, or player.
Welcome back to Estadio, Olímpico Universitario. There's a look at the man who has been the man with the golden boot, I guess you could call it, if we're going to keep it simple. He's got 7 goals in the competition thus far. And we are going to have another substitution for Cruz Azul. It's going to be Angel Romero, their main number 9, coming on and replacing Rafael Baca. So a clear change of heart and a change of tactic for Juan Reynoso, needing to inject a little bit more life into this side and feeling as if Angel Romero, is the man to do it. And he'll replace the central midfielder who started to become a little bit testy as far as his fouls were concerned in the first half, and he'll join the ranks of Oriel Antuna and Santiago Jimenez in the attacking part of the field. And Romero, the 29-year-old from Paraguay, of course, just a heavy South American contingency in this group. Will come onto this scene, of course, spent some time with Corinthians over in Brazil from 2014 to 2018, came up through Cerro Porteño in Paraguay. Most recently seen with San Lorenzo before coming over to Cruz Azul. 38 caps, 8 goals for Paraguay, and away we go in this second half. Pumas 1/4 of the way home, I guess you could call it, including the second leg and the 2 halves of the 2 legs of the quick math that I'm doing, to what would be a massive, massive upset. And despite their dip in league play over the past 5 or 6 weeks, they have shown up and shown out in this continental competition, looking to hoist their first trophy since 2011 when they won the Clausura. Heavy challenge, and Armando Villarreal wanting to play the advantage here and just checking to make sure that all parties involved are relatively unscathed. Pumas do have a massive Liga MX game coming up, as Talavera will scoop it up. They will take on Puebla at the weekend. Currently sitting on 22 points in 3rd place. Pumas in 9th place right now on 15 points. So if they really want to try to work their way up the table and get into the qualification for the quarterfinals, it needs to start sooner rather than later. But in the midst of the continental competition, as we've talked about a couple of times on this broadcast already, always a difficult balancing act. But winning heals all, particularly in this competition. They've won 3 times, but not since 1989. Oh, how's that for a ball? And how's that for a challenge from Alan Mosso? Ridding Sebastian Jimenez of the ball. And Cruz Azul will go quickly here. Romero joining in on the attack, and last touch coming off of the home side, and it will be a corner for the visitors. Corner sent in, Talavera able to collect. Loves that little chest pass to start the counterattack going the other way. Corozo wanting to get involved. Here comes Gerardo off of his line and just barely has enough real estate. Picked up a knock as well. Pumas really seem to believe that they can get to their first final of this competition since 2005, in which they lost to that terrific Saprissa team. Starts with closing out this second half of the first leg. And perhaps one more tally could be in store, as that cutback from Ratao was read the entire way by the Cruz Azul back line. Aguilar atoning for his earlier sins in that slip that led to the second Dinero goal. Corozo. A little bit too close to Gerardo. Romero. Almost a really cheap giveaway there from Talavera. And one of the last things that Andres Lelini wants to see is his side is allowing Cruz Azul back into this by simply beating themselves. That's been the sentiment with this Pumas team, is that they have so much talent, but sometimes they're the architects of their own destruction. As Corozo taken down, and he's not happy with the challenge. Now he's going toe-to-toe and tete-a-tete with Uriel Antuna. Good ball from Talavera. And now immediately Pumas on the move yet again. It is the Ecuadorian once more, Corozo. And last touch coming off of Julio Dominguez, who is the substitute for Juan Escobar. Came off injured a little bit after the half-hour mark. 2 substitutions already used by Juan Reynoso. There is the 52-year-old from Lima, Peru, played for Cruz Azul at 236 appearances in Liga MX from 1994 to 2002. Full-blown Peruvian international with close to 85 caps. Clever little header from Arturo Ortiz back to his goalkeeper Talavera. It was an interesting story. Of course, came up through the Rayados Academy and spent some time in lower divisions in Mexico before eventually finding his way back to Liga MX. 29 years old and seemingly a very important part of this Pumas defense. Romero. Has to drop into those deep pockets to receive, and then link up play and join in on the attack. And Aguilar slips again. That's the second time. Is it going to lead to a second goal? Corozo trying to ensure that it happens. Rogerio, was he clipped? And then the ball went out of play. And I mean this literally. Aguilar, typically one of the more sure-footed players, not just on this Cruz Azul team, but in Liga MX's pyramid. And he has been struggling with the playing surface here on a number of occasions. Thankfully for him, this one wasn't right in front of goal that directly led to a goal. You can see the frustration, and all he can do is pound the turf and find his way back into the play. First touch from the Brazilian just let him down. Andres Lilini, so charismatic and so active in this team. Always barking instructions from the technical area. Corozo, a couple of heavy touches. It'll be a goal kick in the end. The Ecuadorian not happy with his technical display on that particular move. Poor attempt at a switch of play from Cruz Azul. Ball intended for Dineno. Aguilar. Square ball in the middle of the park, always going to be a tricky proposition if you're the team in possession. And now can Cruz Azul capitalize? Cruz Azul look a bit shell-shocked as you get a look at Tata Martino in the box here at Estadio Olímpico Universitario, keeping an eye on some of his L3 squad members. Carlos Rodriguez, Oriol Antuna. Here comes Cruz Azul looking to get back into this tie. Straight into Ortiz. And he's down on the play. And Cruz Azul probably could have kept going there, and Ortiz was injured from the initial shot, and had Cruz Azul recognized that, potentially could have made more of the numerical advantage, but Pumas certainly not going to argue with the decision, as Antuna slow to get to his feet. We're seeing a number of replays from this, but no official word that they are checking for a handball. There's not a ton that Ortiz can do in that situation, but obviously if Tim Ford, our VAR, as well as Armando Villarreal feel that Ortiz is making his body bigger and hands were in an unnatural position, which of course is subjective to whoever is making the decision, and we could find ourselves with a Cruz Azul penalty, but it looked like it more or less hit Ortiz on the shoulder, and it was on the left arm or chest. Mexico, of course, will be in a group with Argentina, Saudi Arabia, and Poland. No real group of death in this World Cup. That will be in Qatar in November. Saudi Arabia always a tough out. And of course, Poland sport. A man who I think we can all confidently say is the best goal scorer in the world at the moment in Robert Lewandowski. And of course, Argentina. And all of their pomp and circumstance and their magician will be looking to make another deep run as Pumas win back possession. Plenty of contact right at the edge of the area, but nothing that interests our head referee, Armando Villarreal. Mozo. Big switch cut out by Mozo. Leonel Lopez. Alvarez. Lopez has been playing that sweet music in the middle of the park and really dictating the tempo when Pumas have been at their best tonight. As we've eclipsed the hour mark, Dineno with both goals for Pumas, his 6th and 7th of the tournament. Second one coming off of a slip from the Cruz Azul skipper Pablo Aguilar right before the stroke of halftime. Sounds like we're going to have our first Puma substitution of the evening, as we're hearing that it's going to be the Brazilian striker Diogo. And Diogo, the man responsible for the 1-0 win over Juarez at the weekend, will come onto the scene here and replace Rogerio, one Brazilian for another. And Rogerio, not exactly his finest night. Wasn't involved in a ton, but sometimes that's the way it goes, especially when you're competing with the likes of Corozo and Juan Dineno for touches, and a big embrace from his manager. And Diogo onto the scene, the 25-year-old. He's in his 2nd season on loan, of course, from Plaza Colonia. Ball whipped in, Talavera off of his line, just sort of swats it away. Long-range effort, takes a deflection. Talavera says thank you very much. Well, it's always been his MO, Alfredo Talavera. Aerial superiority. Here comes Cruz Azul again, and Tuna with more than enough pace to burn. Floats it towards the back post, and Talavera right on cue. Able to punch it away again. And Pumas get some reprieve from the whistle of Armando Villarreal. He is like a banshee every single time he leaves his line. Can jump out of the stadium. Well, if you're Andres Lillini, you might be asking the question and scratching your head, is this going to be enough to get us over the line when we head to Azteca a week from tonight? One more goal and you'd feel a lot more comfortable, but 2-0 against a sign of Cruz Azul's depth and quality might just be inviting, or perhaps poking, a sleeping giant. Flick on from Dineno and deemed a dangerous play. I don't think a lot of people would have predicted this scoreline with 66 minutes gone, especially given the way the Pumas have been playing as of late, and that really includes CONCACAF Champions League as well, and they looked absolutely horrid in the first leg against New England Revolution, and a lot of people said that the Revs probably should have scored in the realm of 6 or 7 goals as opposed to just 3, but of course Pumas did the dirty work in the second leg and were able to get it to penalties where they eventually prevailed. As Talavera will happily see this over the bar. Reynoso trying to encourage his side, sensing that perhaps some of the belief and energy levels are dropping. Cruz Azul will be at Mazatlan at the weekend. Quick turnaround for them as they play Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, in match day 13 of 17. And as we talked about before, Cruz Azul currently sitting in 4th, and they would be headed to the quarterfinals if the season ended today in Liga MX, but for Pumas, a bit more of a steeper mountain to climb. Currently sitting in 9th place and need to rack up points as quickly as possible. Ortiz is there. Seconds can be picked up by Romero. How's that for a first touch? Dominguez. It's more like it from Cruz Azul. Although Dominguez's first touch let him down. Pumas a lot deeper at the moment, and maybe absorbing pressure for the next 22 minutes isn't the best strategy, but it's what they're having to deal with right now. Dominguez, time and space to deliver. Ortiz again stabs it away. Well, if there was a defensive man of the match for Pumas, it certainly would be that man. But there's only going to be one player for Andres Lillini who's going to garner the headlights, or the headlines, and if the scores to stay the same, the man of the match honors, and that's Juan Ignacio Dineno. Romero unable to bring it down, and even if he were able to, Ortiz was right on the scene and just able to bully him off the ball, and it will be a foul going out the other way. Ortiz is an absolute load and a handful, and you can see Rivero, once he got into a wrestling match with him, knew that there was only one outcome. Lopez gets it right back. Mozo. Encouraging play here from Pumas. Is there a third? Corozo. Couldn't quite lay it off for Meritao. And look at Nicolas Freire. From sliding in, breaking up the counterattack for Cruz Azul. Pumas going the other way. Meritao onside. Good ball in, and Dineno! That would have been a biblical exclamation point. Well, it was a move that was worthy of that type of finish, but Dineno just got the timing wrong, ends up coming off of his shin. Perhaps took off just a little bit too late when he was leaving the ground. And when you've been scoring at the rate that he's been scoring at, your standards are sky high. Can Cruz Azul get back into this? Here's Dominguez, the substitute. Sends it across, a good-looking ball, and look at that flying challenge from Mozo. Saw the danger and dealt with it. Well, he's putting quite the shift, the right back for Andres Lilini, the 24-year-old from Mexico City and local boy. And now you can start to feel the tension. Cruz Azul desperately want to bring something back to the Azteca next week. Outswinger. And Talavera could just see it wide. It's a decent looking header from Sebastian Jimenez. Always difficult to generate the power, and takes a lot of neck strength to be able to snap it back with enough velocity to be the caliber, to be the keeper of the caliber of Talavera. Two substitutes getting ready to come on for Pumas. And we're hearing the announced attendance for tonight. 23,794 on hand for this Champions League edition of Clásico Metropolitano. Jimenez. Towards the back post, seconds are available. Meritao will scoop them up though. Corozo. Alvarez. Mozo getting forward yet again. Diogo. Mozo again. Alvarez just putting enough pressure on Dominguez to the point that he has to poke it out of play. And it is going to be Golindo, 24-year-old from Mexico City, coming on and replacing Lionel Lopez. And Corozo, very involved in the first half. Started to drift away from the game a little bit in the second. Will make way, and Alec Alvarez will come onto the scene in the 75th minute as well. Well, Lopez a real subtlety to his game, but as we talked about before, he's the piano player. It's really dictating the tempo, how and when and where Pumas are going to build. Switch intended for Mozo. Alvarez, fresh out to the scene. Keeps his delivery low. Dineno, is there a hat trick in store? It's waved off, it's going the other way. I believe it's a handball. Dineno struck the woodwork regardless. And the Argentine will have to wait. It just came off the fingernails, which I'm sure are chewed down to the nub if you're a Cruz Azul fan. It'll be Mayorga, Morales, and Tabo in a triple substitution for Juan Reynoso. One last roll of the dice from the Peruvian manager. Nathan Morales replacing Sebastian Jimenez. Or Santiago Jimenez, excuse me. Decent looking ball and a diving header away as Pumas needing all their facilities now. Another outswinging corner, one initially by Pumas. And it is going to be a yellow card for Rivero as he goes into the book with just 13 minutes remaining. I'll tell you what, it's good defense from Rivero in the end. Kept his hand straight up, didn't reach. And if this football thing doesn't work out for him in the next couple of years, perhaps can make his way to the United States and try out for an NBA team or two. I know a few that could certainly use the defensive help, including my New York Knickerbockers. Dominguez. Romero keeps it in play. Rivero now, poked away by Ortiz. That's a great looking ball. Dominguez peels it back. Excellent skill. Looked like it was Freire who broke it up right at the end. And now here goes the Brazilian Diogo. Not a ton of help. Waiting for the cavalry to arrive and some physical hold-up play to keep possession. Mozo skips around a challenge as well. Beautiful football from Pumas. Alleviate the pressure, keep possession, and switch the point of attack. A little bit too predictable there from Alec Alvarez. Diogo. A third goal would send this place into an absolute tizzy. Benetau. Brazilian stepping forward. Nobody stepping to him. Finally bothered enough by Aguilar. And now Cruz Azul can break. Romero. Tried to slide it through, but took a deflection before it could get to the intended target. And Pumas will play Kipoe in the driver's seat, in full control. Big switch, Arado a long run, and he'll see it out of play. Frustrating night for Romero. He's certainly put in the legwork, but hasn't found the tangible result that he or his manager have been looking for. It looked like the ball headed him more than he headed the ball on that particular play. Rivera almost gave it away. Romero scoops up the scraps. Perhaps one in store here for Cruz Azul. Peeled back. There it is! La Maquina right back into it. It's Christian Tabo, the substitute. And just like that, Pumas' lead is cut in half. It's a beautifully worked, lightning-quick counterattack. And the Uruguayan with a tiny little finish at the back post that Talavera just simply watched trickle in. Industrious play out of the wing. And just a redirection of the ball that Talavera could do nothing about. It's the two substitutes, Morales and Tabo, who link up. Nestled perfectly. We've got a proper semifinal on our hands. And perhaps Cruz Azul believe that they can level things before heading back to the Azteca. Here goes Mozo. Stopped in his tracks. Alejandro Mayorga, part of that triple substitution that Juan Reynoso made about 5-6 minutes ago. Seemingly paying dividends. Good football from Pumas to get out of trouble. They solve the puzzle. And now look forward. Lofted in by Alvarez. Diogo was there, trying to use that big frame, and Morado collects. 5 minutes remaining plus stoppage time. 2 goals from Juan Dineno in the first half, and Cruz Azul pulled one back in the form of Christian Tabo. He's almost caught himself in some trouble as Rivero, who's been a pest all night, bearing down on him. With a look at the goal, it was that initial ball that got things started, and then it's a little hip swivel from Morales, and knew exactly where Tabo was going to be. And Juan Reynoso looking something like a genius with his substitutions, linking up to pull one back. And it could prove to be a massive away goal when it's all said and done on the aggregate at the end of 180 minutes between these two old, bitter rivals. Third away straight to Dineno. Foul before Cruz Azul could go the other way. Carlos Rodriguez barking at the 27-year-old from Argentina. Still a little bit reckless and caught him on the foot. Now Pumas fans will look back at those 2 chances from Dineno, one right at the end of the first half following his second goal, and of course the scissor kick after that tremendously silky move from back to front from Andres Lelini's side. I think what could have been, but now Cruz Azul with that goal carry a lot of momentum and an away goal in their back pocket. Back to the Azteca. Ortiz stabs it away. Omar Islas getting set to come on. He started in that second leg against New England. Here goes Mozo, even in the 89th minute, knocking on the door of the 90th, still full of life, still full of energy. Diogo Alvarez. Now Alec Alvarez. Dineno. Back heel didn't quite come off. And Rivero fires it into the feet of Morales. And here comes the 25-year-old. It's in his 9th season with the club. Came up to the academy. Spent some time with Venados, Oaxa, Atlante, Pumas Tabasco, and Liga de Expansión. And Islas will replace Fabio Alvarez. Not necessarily the clever eyebrow-raising type of night that we're used to seeing from him, but certainly got the job done as Pumas registered 2 goals. Perhaps might be able to get a third as Islas maybe just has a little bit of magic left in him. As we're hearing, it's going to be 4 minutes of stoppage time. More than enough for either side to make a massive statement heading into the second leg at the Azteca next week. Almost a perfect ball that sent Diogo on his way. And there it is. And this one will be brought back at midfield. Cruz Azul claiming it should be a card after the ball was kicked away by Pumas following the whistle. Dominguez, pretty little touch, skips around the defender, and that was on the wrong side of the post. But boy, was it hit cleanly. That might have been the last real opportunity that Cruz Azul had to level things up. But Dominguez, after coming on as a substitute, has really settled in, and Ivan Morales, the Chilean, has been near perfect since coming on. Set up the first goal, almost scored the second. Quite the bargain, Morales, bought for just $400,000. Still waiting for his first Liga MX goal. Just making his 4th appearance in Champions League off the bench. Well, while Pumas fans might feel like they should have had a little bit more out of this one, they'll have to be extremely happy with the performance. A team that they lost to 3 weeks ago. And a team that, for all intents and purposes, was the significant favorite heading into this contest. And they will have the advantage heading to Cruz Azul in a week's time. And at this time next week, we will more or less know who one of the 2 finalists will be in the 2022 edition of CONCACAF Champions League. Nasty little challenge there from Tabo. Nothing but respect between he and Mosso. And respect with a little 2-arm shiver. Full time. Pumas get the job done, but Cruz Azul do have an away goal. 2 goals from Juan Ignacio Dinero before the halftime whistle, and then it was Christian Tabo who pulled one back for La Maquina. And Andres Lilini will have just a slight edge heading to the Azteca next week. Pumas with a very, very impressive performance, and the crowd's reaction here and almost 24,000 speak to that. Juan Ignacio Dinero continues his fabulous goal-scoring ways. And we'll take a look at how it all went down here at Estadio Olímpico Universitario. Clásico Metropolitano for this all-Mexican semifinal of Champions League. And in the first half, it was this wild sequence that really got Pumas going and felt like they really started to believe after this sequence. Luis Abram clears it off the line. Juan Escobar would go down and would be unable to continue, but one of the best clearances off the line that you'll ever see. Just a pure reaction from Abraham. But certainly Alvarez should have felt like he scored. And then a few minutes later, Dineno would score. Pinball wizard, to say the least, but Dineno will take them any way that they will come. And he would have his class and his clean goal a little bit later, but that would make it 1-0. Just past the half-hour mark. Threw his entire body, his entire soul at the ball to make sure that it did cross the line. And then not too long, goal number 2. A slip from Aguilar and a tidy header from Dineno. And at that moment, Pumas really did believe. Nothing that Gerardo could do but watch, as it was a point-blank effort. And then Cruz Azul, late in the second half, would pull one back, and it could prove to be the difference maker. If Cruz Azul win the game 1-0 at the Azteca, that goal would be the one that sends them through. Away goals are in effect in this competition, and Christian Tabot just scored a massive one for La Máquina. How good of a finish is that through the legs of Ortiz? And that would be all the scoring in Mexico City on the evening. A raucous crowd that saw a proper semifinal leg number 1. And here are the full-time stats. 23 shots between the two teams, 10 on goal. And a really strong performance from Pumas. Cruz Azul, couple of mistakes. They paid dearly, and that's what Juan Dineno's been doing to teams throughout Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, capitalizing on mistakes. And now all to play for at the Azteca in 7 days. For our entire crew here at Concacaf, Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. The final score in the Clásico Metropolitano: Pumas 2, Cruz Azul 1. We will talk to you in a week's time.